The penthouse was silent except for the soft hum of the city 40 stories below. Gabrielle's hands trembled as she clutched the edge of the massive bed, exhaustion weighing down every muscle in her body. She'd been scrubbing floors for 16 hours straight. Her day job at the corporate building, her evening shift at the hotel, and now this emergency call to clean the penthouse of some wealthy businessman she'd never met. Mrs. Martinez had been insistent. "This client pays triple. Don't mess it up." The bed looked like a cloud wrapped in silk. Just 5 minutes, Gabrielle thought, lowering herself onto the edge. Her daughter Jada was safe with Patrice for the night. 5 minutes wouldn't hurt. The moment her head touched the pillow, darkness claimed her. She didn't hear the door open, didn't hear the footsteps that stopped abruptly at the bedroom entrance, didn't see the dangerous man in the tailored black suit freeze at the sight of a stranger in his bed. A beautiful black woman with her cleaning uniform still on. Her natural curls spread across his pillow like a halo, her face peaceful in a way that made something crack in his carefully constructed armor. Seo Yong-jun had killed men for less than entering his private space, but as he stood there, watching her breathe, he found himself saying something he'd never said to anyone. "Stay." Gabrielle woke to the sensation of being watched. Her eyes flew open, and her heart stopped. Standing beside the bed was a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a dark fantasy. Tall, powerfully built, with sharp Korean features, and eyes so intense they seemed to pierce straight through her soul. His black hair was styled back perfectly, and he wore a crisp white dress shirt with the top 4 buttons undone, revealing a muscular chest and a delicate vertical tattoo of Korean characters running down the side of his neck. Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Gabrielle scrambled off the bed so fast she nearly tripped over her own feet. "I didn't mean to. I was just cleaning and You fell asleep in my bed," he said, his voice deep and measured, with barely a trace of an accent. His expression was unreadable, but something flickered in his dark eyes. "How did you get in here?" "Mrs. Martinez. She's my supervisor at the cleaning company. She sent me here for an emergency cleaning. The door was open. I swear I wasn't—" Gabrielle's voice caught in her throat as she truly took in the man before her. Everything about him screamed power and danger. The way he stood, the way he looked at her, the energy that rolled off him like a physical force. "Martinez," he repeated, his jaw tightening. "She was supposed to send the regular crew, not—" His eyes traveled over her face, her hair, the cleaning uniform that hugged her curves, the exhaustion evident in every line of her body. "Not you." "I'm sorry, Mr. Seo Yong-jun." He moved closer, and Gabrielle instinctively took a step back, hitting the bed behind her. He stopped, something shifting in his expression. "You're afraid of me." It wasn't a question. Gabrielle lifted her chin, channeling every ounce of dignity she possessed. "I'm not afraid. I'm sorry for the intrusion, and I'll leave right now. I won't charge for the job." "You were exhausted," Yong-jun said quietly, still watching her with that unsettling intensity. "When was the last time you slept, really slept?" The unexpected question threw her. That's none of your business. You fell asleep in a stranger's bed within minutes of arriving. That tells me everything I need to know." He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. "Zone will take you home." "I can take myself home. It's 3 in the morning. You'll take the car." His tone left no room for argument, but it wasn't cruel. If anything, there was something almost concerned in his voice. The door opened and a man in a dark suit entered. He looked at Gabrielle with surprise but said nothing. "Dae-jung, take Miss—" Yong-jun paused, realizing he didn't know her name. "Gabrielle," she supplied quietly. "Gabrielle Thomas. Take Miss Thomas home safely. Make sure she gets inside." Yong-jun turned back to Gabrielle. "Your cleaning supplies are by the door. You don't need them tonight." Gabrielle wanted to argue, wanted to maintain her pride, but the weight of exhaustion was crushing. "Thank you," she said softly, gathering her things. As she moved past him, their arms brushed, and electricity shot through her body. She saw his jaw clench, saw something flash in his eyes that made her breath catch. "Gabrielle," he called as she reached the door. She turned back. Yong-jun stood in the center of his bedroom, hands in his pockets, looking at her with an expression she couldn't decipher. "You looked peaceful when you were sleeping. I haven't seen peace like that in a very long time." Her heart did something strange in her chest. "Good night, Mr. Seo." "Yong-jun," he corrected. "Just Yong-jun." As Son Dae-jung led her to the elevator, Gabrielle couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just changed in a way she didn't yet understand. Yong-jun stood at his window, watching the car pull away 40 stories below, carrying the woman who'd invaded his sanctuary and somehow made him feel human for the first time in years. "Sir?" Dae-jung's voice came through his phone. "Should I look into her background?" "Yes, everything. But don't touch her. Don't let anyone else touch her either." "Understood." Yongjun ended the call and walked back to his bed. Her scent still lingered on his pillow, something warm and slightly sweet, mixing with the industrial soap from her work. He picked up the pillow, then stopped himself, disgusted by his own behavior. He'd built an empire in the shadows, commanded loyalty through fear and respect, made grown men beg for mercy, and here he was, holding a pillow like a lovesick fool because a woman had slept in his bed for 20 minutes. But that wasn't quite true, was it? It wasn't just that she'd slept there. It was the way she'd looked, vulnerable but strong, exhausted but dignified. The way she'd lifted her chin and met his eyes, even though he could see her hands trembling. The way she'd apologized with such fierce pride, as if sleeping in his bed was the worst crime she'd ever committed. In his world, sleeping in someone's bed was the least of crimes. His phone buzzed. A message from Giovanni Marchetti. "We need to talk about the waterfront." Yongjun's expression hardened. The Italian had been pushing boundaries for months, testing his territory, trying to find weaknesses. Giovanni would find none. Yongjun didn't have weaknesses, except now possibly he did, and she had beautiful brown skin and eyes that had looked at him like he was a man, not a monster. He typed back, "Tomorrow, my office, noon." Then he erased all thoughts of the Italian from his mind and let himself remember the woman who'd made his carefully controlled world tilt on its axis. Gabrielle barely remembered the car ride home. Zone Dae-jung had been silent and professional, opening doors, making sure she was safe. The building Yongjun lived in was the kind of place she cleaned, but would never afford. All marble and gold and views that made the city look like a jewel box. Her apartment was the complete opposite. Small, cramped, in a neighborhood that was safe enough but rough around the edges. But it was hers. Hers and Jada's. She checked her phone. A text from Patrice. "Jada's asleep. Don't worry. Get some rest, girl." Gabrielle collapsed onto her worn couch, her mind spinning. What had just happened? She'd fallen asleep in a stranger's bed. A stranger who turned out to be possibly the most intimidating and attractive man she'd ever seen. A man who'd looked at her like she was something precious and fragile. A man who had a tattoo and an aura that screamed danger. She should forget about him. She should call Mrs. Martinez in the morning, explain what happened, and make sure she never had to go back to that penthouse again. But even as she thought it, Gabrielle knew she was lying to herself, because those dark eyes haunted her, and that voice, "You looked peaceful," played on repeat in her mind. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "This is Yongjun. Dae-jung gave me your number. Sleep well, Gabrielle. You deserve rest." She stared at the message, her heart pounding. She shouldn't respond. This was dangerous. Men like him didn't enter the lives of women like her for good reasons, but her fingers moved anyway. "Thank you for your kindness tonight." The response came immediately. It wasn't kindness. It was selfishness. "I wanted you to stay." Gabrielle's breath caught. She read the message 3 times, trying to decode it, trying to understand what was happening. "Why?" She typed back before she could stop herself. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, because for the first time in 10 years, my bedroom felt like a home instead of a cage. Gabrielle sat in her dark apartment holding her phone, feeling the earth shift beneath her feet. This was crazy, impossible, dangerous. And yet, she found herself typing, "Good night, Yongjun." "Good night, Gabrielle. I'll see you again soon." It wasn't a question. It was a promise. And deep in her bones, Gabrielle knew he was a man who kept his promises, whether she was ready for it or not. Gabrielle didn't hear from Yongjun for 3 days. 3 days in which she worked her regular shifts, picked up Jada from school, made dinner, helped with homework, and pretended that her entire world hadn't been turned upside down by a man with dark eyes and a voice that wrapped around her like silk. "Mama, you're thinking about something," Jada said on the 3rd evening, looking up from her math worksheet with those 2 knowing eyes. At 7 years old, her daughter was far too perceptive. "Just tired, baby," Gabrielle lied, pressing a kiss to Jada's forehead. "Finish your homework." "Is it a boy?" Jada grinned. "Auntie Patrice says you never think about boys." "Auntie Patrice talks too much," Gabrielle muttered, making a mental note to have words with her best friend. "And no, it's not a boy, it's nothing." Her phone rang. Mrs. Martinez. "Gabrielle, I need you at the SEO penthouse tonight. Emergency cleaning again." Gabrielle's heart stopped. "Mrs. Martinez, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe send Rosa or—" "He requested you specifically. Said you did excellent work last time." Her supervisor's voice was sharp. "This is a very important client, Gabrielle. Triple pay. You need it, don't you?" She did need it. Jada's school fees were due, the rent was always due, her car needed repairs she couldn't afford. "Yes, ma'am." "Good. 7 p.m. sharp. And Gabrielle? Don't mess this up." The line went dead. Gabrielle stared at her phone, her mind racing. He requested her, specifically. This wasn't about cleaning at all. "Mama?" Jada's voice was uncertain. Gabrielle forced a smile. "I have to work tonight, baby. You'll stay with Auntie Patrice, okay?" At exactly 7 p.m., Gabrielle stood outside the penthouse door, her heart hammering. She'd debated not coming, debated calling in sick. But curiosity and something deeper, something she didn't want to name, had won. The door opened before she could knock. Yongjun stood there wearing dark slacks and that same white dress shirt, unbuttoned enough to show the tattoo on his neck and the hard planes of his chest. He looked like sin wrapped in expensive fabric. "You came," he said, and she heard relief in his voice. "Mrs. Martinez said you needed cleaning." "I lied." He stepped aside. "Come in." Gabrielle didn't move. "If you don't need cleaning, then I should go. I need you to stay." His eyes held hers. "Please." That word, please, from a man who clearly didn't say it often, broke through her defenses. Gabrielle walked inside. The penthouse looked exactly as it had before, spotless, not a single thing out of place. "What do you really want?" she asked, turning to face him. Yongjun closed the door but kept his distance, as if sensing she might bolt. "I want to have dinner with you. I want to know your story. I want to understand why a woman falls asleep in a stranger's bed and somehow makes that stranger feel less alone than he's felt in a decade." "You don't know me," Gabrielle whispered. "No, but I want to." He gestured toward the dining room. "I had food prepared, Korean and soul food. I wasn't sure what you'd prefer. If you're uncomfortable, Daejong is right outside. You can leave anytime you want, but I'm asking you to give me 1 hour. Just one." Gabrielle should have said no. Should have walked out and never looked back. But something in his eyes, a loneliness that mirrored her own, made her nod. 1 hour. The dining table was set beautifully, with dishes that made Gabrielle's mouth water. Bulgogi and kimchi alongside collard greens and cornbread, a fusion that shouldn't work but somehow did. "How did you know?" she asked, sitting down carefully. "I had you investigated." At her sharp look, he continued. "I know how that sounds. But in my world, strangers in my home are usually threats. I needed to know who you were. And what did you find out? That you work 3 jobs to support your daughter, that you're 28 years old and haven't had a day off in 6 months, that Jada's father left when she was 2, that you're studying online for a business degree but can barely find time to complete assignments, that you're strong, proud and stubborn, and that everyone who knows you says you're the most loyal person they've ever met." Gabrielle felt exposed, vulnerable, angry. "You had no right. You're correct. I didn't." Yongjun leaned forward. "But I did it anyway because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. And in my world, Gabrielle, obsession is dangerous. I needed to understand what I was dealing with." "Obsession?" Her voice came out breathless. "Yes," he said it simply, as if admitting something obvious. "From the moment I saw you in my bed, peaceful and beautiful, you've consumed my thoughts. I want to know everything about you. I want to take away the exhaustion in your eyes. I want to give you rest." "Why?" The question burst from her. "I'm nobody. I'm a cleaning lady with a daughter and debt and a life that's barely held together. You're whatever you are. We're from different worlds. You think I don't know that?" Yongjun's voice turned rough. "You think I don't understand how impossible this is, but I'm not a man who denies what he wants. And I want you, Gabrielle Thomas. I want to know you, protect you, give you everything you've been denied. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection, even the strong ones, especially the strong ones." He paused. "Let me guess. You're going to tell me you can handle everything yourself?" "I have been handling it myself." "Yes, and you're exhausted, worn down, working yourself to death." His eyes flashed. "Let me help." "I don't need your help," Gabrielle said, even as her pride warred with the desperate part of her that wanted to say yes, wanted to lean on someone for the first time in 6 years. "Then let me be honest about what I need," Yongjun said quietly. "I need you. Your presence. Your peace. You walked into my life and made me remember what it feels like to be human instead of a weapon. Stay. Have dinner with me. Let me be selfish." Gabrielle looked at the food, at this impossible man, at the vulnerability hiding behind his controlled exterior. "1 dinner," she heard herself say, "and then I go home to my daughter." "1 dinner," he agreed. For now. They talked for 3 hours. Gabrielle learned that Yongjun had taken over his father's organization at 23 after the old man died, that he'd been raised in a world where weakness meant death and trust was a luxury, that he'd never known his mother, that he read philosophy and poetry in 3 languages, but could kill a man with his bare hands if necessary. She told him about Jada, about her ex, Marcus, who'd walked away the moment fatherhood became real, about her dreams of owning her own business someday, about the exhaustion that lived in her bones. "Why do you keep going?" Yongjun asked, his eyes never leaving her face. "Because Jada deserves better. Because I refuse to let the world break me. Because giving up isn't an option." "You're extraordinary," he said softly. "I'm ordinary, I'm just doing what needs to be done. That's what makes you extraordinary." He reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of hers. "May I?" Gabrielle hesitated, then placed her hand in his. His fingers were warm, calloused, gentle despite the strength she could feel in them. Electricity shot up her arm. "This is crazy," she whispered. "Yes. You're dangerous. Yes. I should leave. Yes." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "But you won't. Not yet." He was right. Gabrielle sat there, her hand in his, feeling something shift inside her chest, something she'd locked away years ago when Marcus left. Hope. Dangerous, terrifying hope. "I have enemies," Yongjun said suddenly. "Men who would use you to hurt me if they knew you mattered. I don't matter to you. We just met." His hand tightened on hers. "Don't lie to yourself, Gabrielle. You matter. You've mattered since the moment I saw you, and that makes you a target." Fear flickered through her. "Then we should stop this. Whatever this is. We should." He stood, still holding her hand, and pulled her gently to her feet. They stood inches apart, the air between them charged with tension. "But I've never been good at doing what I should. Yongjun, let me protect you, you and Jada. I can move you somewhere safe, give you security." "No." Gabrielle pulled her hand away. "I won't be kept. I won't be bought. If you want to know me, it has to be real, not because you're paying my bills or solving my problems." Anger flashed in his eyes, followed by something that looked like respect. "You're the most stubborn woman I've ever met. And you're the most arrogant man I've ever met." They stared at each other, and then, impossibly, Yongjun smiled. A real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. "We're going to be a disaster together." "There is no together. I'm going home. I'll have Daejong drive you. I'll take the bus." "It's 11 p.m. I've taken the bus at 11 p.m. for years." "Not anymore. Not while I'm—" He stopped himself. "While you're what?" "While I'm watching over you." His voice was quiet but firm. "Whether you accept my help or not, Gabrielle, you're under my protection now. That's not negotiable." She should have been angry, should have told him he couldn't control her life. But the fierce protectiveness in his eyes made her feel something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. "This is insane," she said. "Yes." He pulled out his phone. "Daejong will take you home. I'll see you again soon." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do, because you feel this too." He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel his heat, smell his scent. Something clean and masculine and intoxicating. "You feel this pull between us, this impossible thing. And you're as curious as I am about where it leads." Gabrielle's breath caught. He was right. God help her. He was right. "Good night, Yongjun," she whispered. He reached up, his fingers barely grazing her cheek. "Good night, Gabrielle. Dream of me." As Daejong drove her home through the city lights, Gabrielle knew she would. She already did. And miles away, in his penthouse, Yongjun stood at his window and made a call. "Daejong, I want full security on Gabrielle Thomas and her daughter. Discreet. They don't know they're being protected. And find out everything about Giovanni Marchetti's recent movements. If he even looks in her direction, I want to know about it." Because Yongjun had learned something tonight. He'd found his weakness. And in his world, that meant war was coming. The flowers arrived at Gabrielle's apartment at 6 a.m. 24 white roses with a card. "Because you deserve beautiful things." Why, Patrice, who'd stopped by to pick up Jada for school, whistled low. "Girl, who is why? And why have you been holding out on me?" Gabrielle stared at the flowers, torn between sending them back and burying her face in their petals. "It's complicated. It's a man with money, if he can afford these beauties." Patrice crossed her arms. "Spill. Now." So Gabrielle told her. Not everything, but enough. The penthouse, the dinner, the impossible attraction to a man who was completely wrong for her in every way. "Is he married?" Patrice demanded. "No." "Is he respectful?" Very. Does he make you feel good? Safe. Gabrielle hesitated. Yes, but Patrice, he's involved in things. Dangerous things. Her best friend's expression sobered. How dangerous? I don't know exactly, but I can see it in him. He's not a regular businessman. Then you need to be careful, Bree, real careful. You've got Jada to think about. I know. Gabrielle touched one of the rose petals. I told him I couldn't see him again. Did you mean it? I wanted to. Patrice sighed. Your heart's already involved, isn't it? Before Gabrielle could answer, her phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Thomas? An unfamiliar voice. This is Dr. Kim from Riverside Elementary. Your daughter Jada had a small incident on the playground. Gabrielle's heart stopped. Is she okay? What happened? She's fine, just a scraped knee from a fall, but she's asking for you. Can you come pick her up? I'll be right there. Gabrielle grabbed her keys, her mind racing. She had to be at work in an hour. If she picked up Jada now, she'd miss her shift. Mrs. Martinez would fire her, but Jada needed her. As if reading her mind, Patrice said, I can get her. You go to work. She asked for me, Gabrielle said, the familiar guilt crushing her chest. How many times had Jada needed her when she couldn't be there? How many times had work come first because it had to, because bills didn't pay themselves? Her phone buzzed. Her text from Yongjun. Daijong tells me Jada was hurt at school. I've sent a car for you. Don't argue. Go to your daughter. Gabrielle's blood ran cold. He's having us watched. What? Patrice snatched the phone, read the message. Oh, hell no. Gabrielle, this is... I have to go. Gabrielle was already moving toward the door. She'd deal with Yongjun later. Right now, Jada needed her. The black car was waiting outside. Daijung opened the door without a word. Gabrielle got in, her mind spinning. How did Yongjun know about Jada? How closely was he watching them? At the school, she found her daughter sitting in the nurse's office, her knee bandaged, tears streaking her face. Mama, I'm here, baby. Gabrielle pulled Jada into her arms. I'm here. I fell and it hurt and I wanted you. Jada sobbed into her shoulder. I know, sweetheart. I've got you now. The school nurse gave her care instructions. Keep the wound clean, watch for infection, nothing serious. Gabrielle signed Jada out and walked toward the car where Daejung waited. Mama, whose car is this? Jada asked, her tears forgotten in favor of curiosity. It's really fancy. It's a friend's car, baby. What friend? You don't have friends with cars like this. Out of the mouths of babes. Gabrielle buckled Jada into the back seat, trying to figure out what to say when her daughter gasped. Mama, look. A small teddy bear sat on the seat, white and fluffy, with a red ribbon around its neck. A note attached. For the brave Jada. Feel better soon. A friend of your mother's, Jada, clutched the bear to her chest. Mama, your friend sent me a present. Gabrielle's throat tightened. She looked at Daejung, who kept his eyes forward, professional as always. But she saw the slight curve of his mouth. Yes, baby. He did. Yongjun was in a meeting with Giovanni Marchetti when his phone buzzed with a message from Daejung. The girl is safe. Minor injury. Mother with her now. Relief washed through him, so powerful it momentarily derailed his concentration. Giovanni noticed immediately. Everything all right, Seo? The Italian asked with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Giovanni Marchetti was in his 50s, silver-haired and charming, and absolutely ruthless. He controlled the waterfront territories that Yongjun wanted, and this meeting was supposed to be a negotiation. Instead, it felt like a chess match where Giovanni was trying to find his weak spots. Everything's fine, Yongjun said coolly. You were saying something about the docks? I was saying that my sources tell me you've been distracted lately. Giovanni leaned back in his chair. A man in our position can't afford distractions, can he? They tend to become liabilities. The implied threat was subtle, but unmistakable. Yongjun's expression didn't change, but inside, ice formed in his veins. Did Giovanni know about Gabrielle? Impossible. He'd been careful, hadn't he? I'm never distracted when it comes to business, Yongjun said. The question is whether you're ready to be reasonable about the waterfront, or whether we need to resolve this another way. Always so direct, you Koreans. Giovanni chuckled. I admire that, but I'm not prepared to give up territory I've held for 20 years just because you've decided you want it. Then we have nothing more to discuss. Yongjun stood. Good day, Giovanni. Wait. The Italian's voice hardened. You might want to reconsider. I'd hate for our disagreement to become messy, especially when there are innocent people who could get caught in the crossfire. There it was, the real threat. Yongjun turned slowly, his eyes deadly. If you're implying what I think you're implying, let me be very clear. Anyone who touches what's mine doesn't live long enough to regret it. What's yours? Giovanni smiled. I wasn't aware you had anything worth protecting beyond your organization. They stared at each other across the room, two predators measuring the other's strength. Finally, Giovanni stood. Think about my offer regarding the docks. I'll be in touch. After he left, Dae-jung entered. Sir, he has a tail on you, 3 men, they've been following you for a week. I know, let them. But double the security on Gabrielle and Jida. No one gets within 100 feet without our knowledge. Already done. Dae-jung paused. The woman called. She wants to speak with you. She seemed upset. Yong-jun checked his watch. Tell her I'll come to her tonight. Gabrielle was pacing her small living room when the knock came. Jada was asleep in her bedroom, the teddy bear clutched in her arms. Patrice had left an hour ago with stern warnings about dangerous men and bad decisions. She yanked open the door. Yong-jun stood there in his usual expensive clothes, looking completely out of place in her worn hallway. You're having us followed, she said without preamble. Yes. You sent my daughter a gift. Yes. You paid for a car to take me to her school. Yes. He stepped inside without being invited, closing the door behind him. Are you going to yell at me now? I should. Gabrielle's voice rose, then dropped when she remembered Jada sleeping. You can't just insert yourself into our lives like this. You can't watch us without permission. That's stalking, Yong-jun. I call it protection. I didn't ask for protection. You shouldn't have to ask. His voice was calm, but his eyes blazed. The moment you mattered to me, you became a target. Do you understand what that means? Men like Giovanni Marchetti will look for any weakness they can exploit. Right now, Gabrielle, you and Jada are my weakness. The words hit her like a physical blow. Then we should stop this, whatever this is, before someone gets hurt. Too late. He moved closer. It's already too late for that. It's not. We barely know each other. We can just... Can you stop thinking about me? The question was soft but fierce. Because I can't stop thinking about you. Every moment, every breath, you're in my head, in my chest, under my skin, and I don't want it to stop. Gabrielle's breath caught. Yong-jun, I know I'm selfish. I know being near me puts you in danger, but I can't let you go. Not now. Not when I've finally found something real in this world of shadows and lies. He reached up, cupping her face gently. Tell me you don't feel this too. Tell me you don't lie awake thinking about me. Tell me, and I'll walk away. She should tell him exactly that. Should lie and protect herself and her daughter. Should do the smart, safe thing. But Gabrielle had been smart and safe her whole life, and where had it gotten her? Exhausted, alone, struggling. This man, this dangerous, impossible man, made her feel alive, seen, wanted. I can't, she whispered. I can't stop thinking about you. The relief that washed over his face was beautiful and terrible. Then let me protect you, both of you. Let me... No. She stepped back. If we do this, if we try this, it has to be real. Not you solving all my problems and me being grateful. I need to know that what you feel is about me, not about rescuing me. Gabrielle, I mean it. Her voice was firm. You can't pay my rent. You can't buy me things. You can't control my life just because you're worried about me. I can't just stand by while you work yourself to death. That's my choice to make. They stared at each other, neither willing to bend. Finally, Yong-jun exhaled sharply. You're going to be difficult about this. About maintaining my dignity and independence? Yes. I hate it. I don't care. A smile tugged at his mouth. You're incredible. Stubborn and proud, and incredible. He glanced toward Jada's bedroom. Can I meet her? Your daughter? Gabrielle's heart clenched. She's asleep. And Yong-jun, if you meet her, she'll get attached. And if this doesn't work out, it will work out. You can't know that. Yes, I can. He stepped closer again, his hand finding hers. Because I'm not walking away from this. From you. I don't care how difficult you make it, how much you fight me, how impossible this seems. I've spent 10 years building an empire, Gabrielle. I know how to fight for what I want, and I want you. The intensity in his voice, in his eyes, made her knees weak. This is crazy. You've said that before. It bears repeating. He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. Stay with this craziness, stay with me. Let me prove that I can be what you need. What I need is for my daughter to be safe. She will be. I swear it on my life. No one will touch her. No one will even get close. Gabrielle wanted to believe him, wanted to lean into the security he offered, the protection, the care, but fear held her back. If Giovanni Marchetti knows about us, he suspects. He doesn't know. And even if he did, he wouldn't dare move against a child. There are rules even in my world. Rules can be broken, not by men who want to live. The lethal promise in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel safer than she had in years. "I need time," she said finally. "Time to think about this. Time to figure out if I'm strong enough to be in your world. You're strong enough." His thumb traced her cheekbone. "You're the strongest person I've ever met. You don't know me well enough to say that. Then let me get to know you better. Have dinner with me tomorrow. Bring Jada. Let me show you that I can be trusted with what matters most to you." The fact that he understood that what mattered most wasn't money or security but her daughter cracked something open in Gabriel's chest. One dinner with Jada in public. Deal. He leaned down, his forehead resting against hers. "Thank you for giving me a chance. I haven't decided anything yet." "Yes, you have. You just don't want to admit it." He was right. God, he was right. Gabriel had already decided, the moment he'd sent that teddy bear to her daughter, the moment he'd looked at her like she was precious, the moment he'd made her feel like she mattered. She was in so much trouble. "Good night, Yongjun." "Good night, Gabriel." He pressed a soft kiss to her forehead, then another to her temple. "Dream of me." "Arrogant," she murmured. "Truthful," he corrected, then left before she could respond. Gabrielle locked the door behind him and leaned against it, her heart racing. Through the window, she saw the black car pull away, but she also saw another car parked down the street, headlights off, engine running, his security watching over them. She should have been angry, should have felt invaded. Instead, she felt safe, and that terrified her more than anything. The dinner never happened. At 4 p.m. the next day, while Gabriel was picking up Jada from school, 3 men tried to grab them in the parking lot. They would have succeeded if Dai Jung and his team hadn't been there. Gabriel heard Jada scream, turned to see a man reaching for her daughter, moved on pure instinct, throwing herself between them, felt strong hands grab her arms, heard Jada crying, saw one of the men pull something from his jacket. Then everything exploded into motion. Dai Jung appeared like a shadow, his movements precise and deadly. Within seconds, 2 of the men were on the ground. The third ran. Gabriel snatched Jada into her arms, her whole body shaking. "Mama!" Jada sobbed against her chest. "Mama, I'm scared." "I've got you, baby, I've got you." Gabriel looked at Dai Jung, who was already on his phone. "What the hell just happened? We need to move, now." He gestured to the car. "Get in." "I'm not getting in any car until you tell me what's going on." "Gabriel?" Dai Jung's voice was urgent. "Those men were sent to take you and Jada. If you don't get in this car right now, more will come, and I can't protect you both in an open parking lot." Terror shot through her. "Take us, who sent them?" "I'll explain in the car, please." Gabrielle looked around. Parents were starting to notice the commotion. Someone would call the police. She needed to get Jada somewhere safe, needed to understand what was happening, needed... She got in the car. Yongjun was in the middle of a conference call when Dai Jung's emergency signal went off. He ended the call without explanation and answered. "They tried to take them," Dai Jung said, his voice tight. 3 men in the school parking lot. We have 2 in custody. The third escaped." Yongjun's vision went red. "Are they hurt?" "No. Shaken. But safe. I'm bringing them to you now." "No. Take them to the safe house in Brookline. Full security detail. No one in or out without my authorization." "Sir, the woman is demanding answers." "Then give them to her. Tell her everything. And tell her I'm coming." Yongjun ended the call and turned to the men assembled in his office. His top lieutenants, the heads of various operations, the muscle and brains of his organization. "Find Giovanni Marchetti. Bring him to me. Alive, but just barely." "Sir," one of them said carefully, "if we move against the Italians now, it could start a war." "Then let there be a war." Yongjun's voice was ice. "No one touches what's mine and lives to speak of it." The safe house was a beautiful townhouse in an upscale neighborhood, nothing like what Gabriel expected. Dai Jung led them inside, where 2 female security personnel were waiting. One of them smiled at Jada. "Hey there, sweetheart. You like hot chocolate? We've got some in the kitchen." Jada looked at Gabrielle, her eyes red from crying. "Mama?" "It's okay, baby, go ahead." Gabrielle kissed her forehead, then watched as her daughter was led away. The moment she was out of sight, Gabrielle turned on Dai Jung. "Explain. Now." So he did. He told her about Yongjun's organization, about the territories and the power struggles, about Giovanni Marchetti and his desire to weaken Yongjun by finding a vulnerability, about how someone had leaked information about Gabrielle and Jada. "So we don't know who yet," Dai Jung said, "but we will, and they'll be dealt with." Gabrielle sank onto the couch, her hands shaking. "This is my fault. I should never have. I put my daughter in danger. No, this is Giovanni's fault. and he'll pay for it. I need to leave. Take Jada and leave the city. Go somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe if you run. These men have reach, resources. The only way to be safe is to end the threat. And how exactly do you plan to do that? The door opened. Yongjun walked in, his face a mask of controlled fury. His eyes found Gabrielle immediately, scanning her for injuries. Are you hurt? No, but... He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, this is my fault. Gabrielle felt his heart hammering against her chest, felt the tremor in his hands. This man, this dangerous, powerful man, was shaking because she'd been threatened. Where's Jada? He asked against her hair. In the kitchen. She's fine. Scared, but fine. He pulled back, his hands cupping her face. I will fix this. Giovanni will never threaten you again, I swear it. How? By starting a war? By killing people? Gabrielle's voice broke. I can't be the reason for that. I can't. You're not the reason. Giovanni's greed is the reason. His arrogance, his belief that he can take anything he wants without consequences. Yongjun's eyes were black fire. He touched what's mine, tried to hurt what I... He stopped, his jaw clenching. What you what? Gabrielle whispered. What I love. The words came out rough, torn from somewhere deep. What I love more than my own life. You and Jada. You're mine to protect, mine to cherish, and anyone who threatens you will learn exactly what I'm capable of. Gabrielle's breath caught. You don't love me. We barely know each other. I know enough. I know you're brave and strong and beautiful. I know you make me want to be better than I am. I know that the thought of losing you makes me want to burn the world down. He pressed his forehead to hers. I know that I'd die before I let anyone hurt you. Tears slid down her cheeks. This is too much. Too fast, I can't... Mama! They both turned. Jada stood in the doorway, hot chocolate in hand, staring at Yongjun with wide eyes. Who are you? Yongjun immediately released Gabrielle and crouched down to Jada's level. My name is Yongjun. I'm a friend of your mother's. The friend who sent me the teddy bear? Yes. Jada studied him seriously. Mama's been sad a lot. Are you going to make her more sad? The question, so innocent and direct, made Gabrielle's heart clench. Yongjun looked at Jada with an expression so tender, it took Gabrielle's breath away. No, little one. I'm going to try very hard to make her happy. To make both of you happy and safe. Safe from the bad men? Yes. From them and anyone else who might try to hurt you. Jada considered this. Are you a good guy or a bad guy? Yongjun paused, and Gabrielle saw him struggle with honesty versus what a child should hear. I'm someone who does bad things sometimes to protect good people. Does that make sense? Like a superhero. A smile flickered across his face. Something like that. Okay. Jada walked over and held out her hand. I'm Jada. I'm 7 years old. I like butterflies and art and my mama. Yongjun shook her small hand gravely. It's an honor to meet you, Jada. I like your mama too. I know. You look at her like Prince Philip looks at Aurora in Sleeping Beauty. Gabrielle made a choked sound. Yongjun actually laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. You're a very observant young lady. I know. Jada looked at Gabrielle. Mama, can I finish watching my show? The nice lady set up the TV for me. Yes, baby, go ahead. After Jada left, Gabrielle turned to Yongjun. A superhero? It seemed appropriate. He stood, his expression sobering. Gabrielle, I need to handle Giovanni. That means you and Jada stay here, under guard, until it's done. For how long? A few days? Maybe a week? I have work. Jada has school. We have a life, which won't exist if Giovanni gets to you. His voice was hard. I'm not asking, Gabrielle. You're staying here where I know you're safe. You can't just keep us prisoner. I can and I will if it means keeping you alive. He gripped her arms, his eyes desperate. Don't you understand? If something happened to you, if he hurt you or Jada, I would lose the last piece of humanity I have left. You can hate me for this, you can be angry, but you'll be angry and alive. Gabrielle saw the fear beneath his control, the vulnerability he was trying so hard to hide. This man who commanded an empire was terrified of losing her. 1 week, she said finally. 1 week and then we talk about what comes next. Really talk, Yongjun. About whether this can work. About whether I can live in your world. 1 week. And Gabrielle, he pulled her close. It will work. I'll make sure of it. She wanted to believe him. Wanted to think that love could bridge the gap between their worlds. But as she felt his arms around her, felt the desperate strength of his embrace, she wondered if love would be enough. or if it would destroy them both. 3 days passed in the safe house. Gabrielle watched Jada adjust with the resilience of childhood, making friends with the security team, drawing pictures, treating the whole thing like an adventure. But at night, her daughter had nightmares. Nightmares of men trying to take her, of her mother being hurt. Yongjun came every evening. He brought dinner, brought toys for Jada, brought news of the situation outside. Giovanni had gone to ground, but Yongjun's people were closing in. On the third night after Jada was asleep, Yongjun found Gabrielle on the balcony, staring at the city lights. "This wasn't what I wanted for you," he said quietly, joining her. "This fear, this isolation." "I know." Gabrielle didn't look at him. "But it's your reality, and if I'm with you, it becomes mine too. You could walk away. After this is over, I'd make sure you and Jada were set up somewhere safe, somewhere he could never find you. Is that what you want?" "No." His voice was raw. "I want you with me, always, but I want you happy more than I want you mine." Gabrielle finally turned to face him. "You really love me, don't you?" "Yes." "Why? I'm nobody special. You're everything." He took her hand. "Your peace in a world of violence. Your light in my darkness. You're the reason I want to be better than what I was raised to be. You make me feel human, Gabrielle, like I'm more than just the things I've done." Tears filled her eyes. "I love you too. I don't want to. I know it's crazy and dangerous and probably the worst decision I've ever made, but I love you." Yongjun's expression cracked. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. "Then stay. Please. Stay with me and let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of that love." "What about Jada? What kind of life would this be for her?" "A safe one, I swear it. Once Giovanni is dealt with, I'll make sure both of you are protected. The best schools, the best security, anything you need. I don't need money or things. I need you to be honest with me, always. About the dangers, about what you do, about what our life would really look like. I can do that." He cupped her face. "But you have to promise me something too." "What?" "Promise me you'll never stop fighting me when I'm wrong. Never stop being stubborn and proud. Never let me turn you into something you're not." Gabrielle smiled through her tears. "I think I can manage that." He kissed her then, a kiss full of promise and passion and desperate hope. A kiss that spoke of all the words they hadn't said, all the fears they hadn't voiced, all the love they were brave enough to claim. When they pulled apart, Gabrielle rested her head on his chest. "What happens now?" "Now I end this, and then we begin our life together." The confrontation came on the 4th day. Yongjun's people found Giovanni in a warehouse on the waterfront, the very territory they'd been fighting over. Yongjun went alone against Daejong's protests because this was personal. Giovanni was waiting, surrounded by his men, but they were outnumbered by Yongjun's forces, hidden in the shadows ready to strike if needed. "Seo," Giovanni greeted him with false warmth. "I wondered when you'd come." "You made a mistake," Yongjun said coldly. "You threatened innocent people, a woman, a child. I needed to send a message. You've been encroaching on my territory for months, and now you'll pay for that message with everything you have." Giovanni's smile faded. "You'd start a war over a woman?" "No." Yongjun stepped closer. "I'd start a war over my family. That woman and her daughter are mine, under my protection, and you tried to take them. So what now? You kill me? My organization retaliates? Your organization has already seen the evidence of your failures. The shipments you've lost, the money you've wasted, the territory you've let slip." Yongjun's voice was deadly calm. "I've bought out your lieutenants, Giovanni. Every single one. You have no army, no power, no future." The Italian's face went white. "That's impossible." "Nothing is impossible when you're motivated. And you motivated me very well when you sent those men after Gabrielle and Jada. What do you want?" "Everything. The waterfront, the trade routes, your contacts, all of it. In exchange, I let you live. You retire to whatever hole you want to crawl into, and you never come near me or mine again." "And if I refuse?" Yongjun pulled out his phone and showed Giovanni a photo. His own daughter, safe at her ballet recital, surrounded by Yongjun's people. "Then you learn exactly how it feels to have someone you love threatened. Unlike you, I won't actually hurt her, but she'll never be safe again, never have a moment of peace. That's the life you'll give her if you refuse." Giovanni stared at the photo, his hands shaking. The great Mafia boss, brought low by the same weapon he'd tried to use. "You bastard." "I learned from the best." Yongjun pocketed his phone. "Do we have a deal?" The Italian knew he was beaten. "We have a deal." "Good. Your lawyers will have the paperwork by tomorrow. Sign it. Disappear. And Giovanni? Yongjun's eyes were ice. If I ever see you again, if I even hear that you've mentioned Gabrielle's name, I won't be so generous. He left Giovanni standing in the warehouse, defeated and broken. As Yongjun walked out into the morning sun, he pulled out his phone and called Gabrielle. "It's over," he said when she answered. "You're safe, both of you." He heard her sob of relief. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect. I'm coming to get you. We're going home." "Home?" "Our home. If you'll have me. If you'll let me build a life with you." "Yes," Gabrielle whispered. "Yes to all of it." 6 months later, Gabrielle stood in the kitchen of a beautiful house. Not a mansion, not a penthouse, but a real home in a safe neighborhood with good schools and a backyard where Jada could play. Yongjun had stepped back from the day-to-day operations of his organization, keeping only the legitimate businesses, letting Daejong handle the rest. He still had power, still had influence, but he'd chosen a quieter life. A life with her. She heard the front door open. "Mama," Jada's voice called. "We're home." Yongjun appeared in the doorway, Jada on his shoulders, both of them laughing. In 6 months he'd become the father Jada never had, patient, loving, present. He'd taught her Korean words, taken her to museums, sat through endless Disney movies without complaint. "How was the park?" Gabrielle asked, kissing first Jada, then Yongjun. "Amazing. Yongjun taught me how to fly a kite." Jada scrambled down and ran to show Patrice, who'd come for dinner, the pictures on her phone. Yongjun pulled Gabrielle into his arms. "I love you," he murmured against her hair. "I love you too, even when you spoil her rotten. She deserves to be spoiled. You both do." He reached into his pocket. Speaking of which, the ring was simple but beautiful, a single diamond that caught the light. Gabrielle's breath caught. "I know we've only been together 6 months, Yongjun said. "I know you might want to wait longer, but I've waited my whole life to find you, Gabrielle. I don't want to wait anymore. Marry me. Let me be your husband and Jada's father. Let me spend every day proving I'm worthy of your trust." Gabrielle looked at this man who'd turned her world upside down, who'd fought for her, protected her, loved her despite the odds. This man who'd given up his empire to build a home. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her until she couldn't breathe. From the living room she heard Jada squeal and Patrice laugh. "She knew you were going to propose," Gabrielle said against his lips. "I asked her permission first. She said yes, but only if I promised to always make you happy." "And what did you say?" "I said it was the easiest promise I'd ever make." Gabrielle pulled back to look at him. This man who'd once been cold and dangerous and now looked at her like she was his whole world. "I never thought I'd find this. Someone who sees me, really sees me. I never thought I'd find peace, but then you fell asleep in my bed and changed everything." She laughed. "Best mistake I ever made. Not a mistake. Fate." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "I love you, Gabrielle Thomas. Soon to be Gabrielle Seo. I love you too. My dangerous, impossible, wonderful man." Outside, the sun set over their new life, a life built on trust and sacrifice and love that refused to be denied. A life that started with a tired cleaning lady falling asleep in a stranger's bed and ended with forever. 2 years later, Gabrielle stood in the kitchen of their home, watching through the window, as Yongjun pushed 9-year-old Jada on the swing set he'd built himself. Her daughter's laughter rang through the yard, pure and joyful. On her hip, their son, 6-month-old Minjai, gurgled happily, his tiny hand wrapped around her finger. He had Yongjun's dark eyes and her warm brown skin, perfect in every way. Patrice sat at the kitchen table sipping tea. "Girl, if someone had told me 2 years ago that you'd be married to a reformed Mafia boss with a baby on your hip, I would have had them committed." Gabrielle laughed. "I would have agreed with you. But you're happy, I can see it. You're actually happy." "I am." Gabrielle watched Yongjun catch Jada as she jumped from the swing, both of them tumbling into the grass, laughing. "I never knew I could have this. A real family, a real partner." Yongjun had been true to his word. He'd left the criminal world behind, focusing on legitimate businesses, real estate, imports, investments. They lived quietly, safely, surrounded by people they loved and trusted. Daejong visited often, now running the organization with Yongjun's blessing. The danger hadn't disappeared entirely, it never would, but it was distant, manageable. Her phone buzzed. A message from Rosa, her old colleague who now managed 3 of Yongjun's office buildings. "Girl, your husband just approved my promotion. I'm the new regional manager." Gabrielle smiled. Yongjun had made it his mission to help everyone who'd been kind to her during her struggles. Rosa, Mrs. Martinez, who now ran her own cleaning company. Even the bus driver, who'd always waited an extra minute when he saw her running. "You thinking about the wedding?" Patrice asked. Among other things, Gabrielle and Yongjun had married in a small ceremony, with just close friends and family. Jada had been the flower girl, crying happy tears through the whole thing. Yongjun came inside, Jada racing ahead to wash her hands. He took Minjae from Gabrielle's arms, cradling their son with the gentleness that never failed to make her heart melt. "Hello, little one. Did you miss me?" Minjae cooed, and Yongjun smiled, that rare, genuine smile that belonged only to his family. "Dinner's almost ready," Gabrielle said, leaning into him. "Perfect." He kissed her temple, then her lips. "I love you, Mrs. Seo." "I love you too. Now go clean up. You're covered in grass." After dinner, after Jada was tucked into bed and Minjae was sleeping peacefully, Gabrielle and Yongjun sat on their back porch watching the stars. "Do you ever miss it?" she asked quietly. "The power? The control?" "No." His arm tightened around her shoulders. "I have everything I need right here. You, the children, this life we've built. That's the only power that matters. Even on hard days? Especially on hard days." He turned to face her. "You saved me, Gabrielle. That night you fell asleep in my bed. You didn't just rest. You gave me rest, peace, a reason to be more than what I was. You saved me too. You showed me I deserved more than survival, that I could have joy." They sat in comfortable silence, two people from different worlds who'd found their way to each other against all odds. "Mama?" Jada's voice called from inside. "I had a bad dream." Gabrielle started to stand, but Yongjun was already moving. "I'll go," he said. "You rest." She watched him disappear inside, heard his gentle voice comforting their daughter. This man who'd once been feared throughout the city was now reading bedtime stories and chasing away nightmares. Love had transformed them both, made them brave enough to choose each other, to build something real from the wreckage of their pasts. Gabrielle touched her wedding ring, smiled at the stars, and thanked whatever fate had brought an exhausted cleaning lady and a lonely mafia boss together. Some love stories start with grand gestures. Theirs started with rest, with one moment of vulnerability that changed everything, and now they had forever to be each other's peace.